Hey everyone, and welcome to the replay. Welcome to the live video. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. While we wait on people, just want to tell you we're doing the live videos now. And sorry, I'm getting my stuff ready. I hit the button a little too early. While we're waiting on people, Tuesdays is going to be the Loom Knitting Day. And just to tell you a little bit more about myself, again, I'm Kristen at Good Knit Kisses, and I am here to teach online crafting videos. I teach how to loom knit and knit with needles and crochet on my YouTube channel, Good Knit Kisses. And I'm just all about helping you guys learn and grow with your crafting. I'm a mom of 3 under 10 so far until they get a little older, and down in Texas. And I'm just here to help enable, encourage, and inspire you to do what you dream to come true. So whether that's knitting something basic, to increasing your knowledge, to even like crafting and selling your goods, or even getting on YouTube or something and teaching how to craft to other people, or getting on other platforms. So we're going to be doing Mondays where you're getting to talk and chat with me, just any question and answers. Of course, any questions that are appropriate. And then Tuesdays will be loom knitting. Wednesdays is knitting and yarn. Thursdays is crochet. And 5 is kind of a social media day where I'll kind of help you with your own business and even just, everyday life, like what do I do in this social media thing? Like, how do I do this particular one? If I know how to do it, I will do it. Anyway, so we can get started here. I hit the button a little early, so I wasn't quite ready. But anyway, if you have any questions today, let me know. If you're not familiar with loom knitting, it's knitting without needles. Here's a more intermediate or advanced item that I've made on a knitting board. Okay, so this is loom knitting, and this was made on, let me get it for you, move my stuff around. Welcome. If you're here, tell me where you're from, or give me some likes and love. And anyway, so this was made on the knitting board, all in one loom. It's adjustable, so that's what I made it on. And just little trivia, I am not paid by any crafting company to sell their looms to you. I haven't right now. This is not a sponsored live video. I've only done a few videos where a company's paid me, and then you'll see me say that it's sponsored. So any reviews I've done, I've never been paid to do them. Sometimes I get sent looms to review, and so I do reviews on my YouTube channel. So of course you can always go there. I'd always love you to subscribe there, and if you subscribe, you can also click on the subscribe button and get the email notifications when I send out those new videos. And you can go to youtube.com/goodknitkisses, and anybody who has a channel, usually you can write their channel name in the especially if they're over maybe probably 1,000 people. I forget when it is that they let you customize your channel name. But it looks like we have 15 people or so online. You guys say hi, and if you can say where you're from, I'd love it. Ask me any loom knitting questions. That's what today's for, questions. And if you have any patterns of mine, I can maybe help you. Sorry, I'm fidgeting with my hair. I gotta get it cut. So we've got, let's see, I've got my new loom knitting book that's out now. It started off as an ebook, and then I had several people ask me to do a print copy, a print version, and I did that. Let's see, the end of November, I did the ebook, and then later on, it took me a while, but it's basically a print on demand, so you have to go online to get it, but it is available. And so some other books that are out there, I didn't do this one. I taught myself how to loom knit. Another book is I Can't Believe I'm Loom Knitting. Kathy Norris did this one from Leisure Arts. And then, so I Can't Believe, I taught myself how to loom knit is from Boy. And then this was Catherine Deberly. Let's see where, sorry, I don't know why I said Catherine. This is Brenda Myers. And then I did the new version that includes the loom. This is in Walmart stores right now. This was a contract thing, so I don't get paid on them right now. Like if you buy them, I don't get paid. It was a contract thing. So I do that as well. So some people have seen me more silent, but it, kind of helps pay the bills in between videos. So, because the videos, of course, are free to the public. Here's another loom knitting item. So if you're a little shy about chatting with me, this is an item that was loom knit with a drop stitch. It's made this way, and it's an infinity scarf, and you can flip it around and twist it, of course, and put it on your neck, and then or let it hang low. Another is making a brioche scarf. You can make brioche with this nice big fat hand there, and even doing like a scalloped edge with picot edge. You can do this on a loom. This was knit on a 3/8 inch gauge loom, and so this is a big triangle scarf that I have the pattern for free on my blog. So anyway, yesterday we had so many people on and asking me questions and all that kind of stuff. I gave a lot more background about myself, and so today I'm just here to chat with you and see about any questions that you have, any challenges that you've had. Okay, I'll go with the first one that I get a lot. A lot of times I hear about curling. People's knits are curling. I actually have an article on my website about that. If you go to goodknitkisses.com, and there's a little search bar. If you click and just write anything in that search bar, it will populate with the things in my resource area as well as the blog area to find the articles that you need to know about. If you just type in curling on my site, you can do that. Also, when you stop knitting curling or something like that, it comes up on Google as well. And some different tips for that are if you've only learned how to do the E-wrap stitch where you're just wrapping around the peg, if you only knit that, it's going to come out and curl up. That's because it is a twisted knit stitch, and a knitted stitch is also called a stocking knit. So if you continue with it, it's like, if you ever know those old pantyhose, if you cut off the top, it kind of rolls down. Well, it naturally curls. The back side of it, whenever you make a knit stitch, the back side is purled. And so if you want to combat it, one runs one way and one runs the other way. So what you do is on the front side, on the right side, you're going to put a knit stitch and then a purl stitch like by rows or rounds and alternate those. And so when you do that, it will become, it become like this. This is a garter stitch. And so it's a knit. This is a purl row that sticks out with the bumps, and then the knit is in between. And so you have this kind of ribbed look that runs this direction. Or you can run your things in columns and alternate knits and purls, and then that becomes ribbed vertically. And you can alternate doing 2 knits, 2 purls, or 3 knits, and 3 knits and 3 purls. But I want to show you something. Get my sample. Okay, so this sample would show 3 by 1. Okay, so this would be 3 knits, and these are E-wraps, and then 1 purl. Okay, see how pretty that looks? Or I could do 3 purl and 1 knit. Look at that. That's just the opposite side. Now, do you see how these stitches don't lay like a complete V? They're kind of bumped out and like a Y shape. Hit the button if you can see it on your screen. They're kind of bumpy, like a Y. They're not like a flat uniform. Let me see if I can find a uniform stitch. This is a brioche. And see how the stitch looks like a V. Okay, see this V here? It's nice and flat. It's flush, right? Okay, so a flush, flat knit stitch is a standard knit. If you wrap it on a loom, it becomes twisted. That's why we call it a twisted knit stitch. And it has kind of a Y shape instead of a V. Let me show you this again. Can you see how it looks like not as uniform? It's a little bumpy. I know this is not the best in focus, but anyway, you can see how it's kind of a nubbier texture, if that makes sense. Can you tell me if you can see that? Hit me a thumbs up or type in the comments below. You can hit, if you've never done this before, at the bottom it'll have a part, it says comments, like to add a comment. You can just click on that and then start typing. So I won't be able to type by hitting it. So I can't type back with you. But anyway, so that's what that is. So the if you E-wrap or wrap around, it makes it twisted. On needles, they call it knit through the back loop because it describes how you're doing it. So you, instead of knitting through the front of the loop when you're on needles, you actually have to move your needle to the back part and then wrap and pull around there, and then it twists the stitch. Oh, good. I'm glad you could see it. Okay, so it's flat. So what I've done is, like, say you do want this kind of cool look, you know, here's a cheater way of not having to do a purl if you want to do something that's double-sided or whatever, just a nice, anyway, this is a nice loose piece. So, oh, and also a twisted knit stitch is going to be stretchier. So if you don't mind it being stretchier or looser, you can also use a little bit heavier weight yarn to make up for the fact that you're going to have a little bit more stretchy or give. So what I've done is I've used a knitting board here, which is double-sided. You can also use what's called a long loom. This is a long loom. Whoops, grabbed the wrong thing. Hold on. This one, you can do double knitting on this loom here. This is from Boy. There's some from other manufacturers and brands and varying spacings of the pegs. But this one from Knitting Board here, what I've done is, you may have seen people make the waffle, or I'm sorry, a honeycomb, where they take and wrap twice on one side and go back and wrap twice on the other side and back and forth and back and forth and do two, 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 two. And then what they do is they shift it over every so often and then shift it back like maybe every 5 rows or so, and then they make a honeycomb. Or you can keep it going and it has these nice ribs. Well, I also show something on my channel called a triple rib stitch, and I'll have to show on another time because of my blankets upstairs, but I had made one that I did for Knitting Board, and it has this, and then we did 3 panels and then stitch it together for a very large blanket. But anyway, I did a little cheat recently. Well, I've had this on here for a while, but what I did is I've got 3 on one side, 1, 2, 3, and then I jump back and just do 1. See? So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. I feel like I'm waltzing. Da, 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 da. So anyway, and then make this nice little panel here for a scarf. Wouldn't that be nice? And then you can use the stretchy bind off, and I have a stretchy bind off, which basically is the basic or simple flat bind off. And then you just add a, good morning, Sharon. And thank you, Lisa, for answering earlier. And hi, Nikki. But basically you can use the basic bind off, and then you're adding an extra knit stitch in between. You're adding an extra E-wrap. And so what it does is it adds that extra, an extra yarn to the fabric to make it stretchier. So when you're doing something like this one, when you've got the 3x1 with the 1 in the back, like that, you can still do it. So on the video where I show the triple rib bind off, you can just use the same technique and go back and forth. You like the triplet stitch? You like that, Nikki? Nikki's using my Good Knit Kisses name here. So if you see me comment, it's actually Nikki. Yes, Elaine, it is very easy. So this is a great way to get started and not feel self-conscious like, wow, my scarf is just, it's curling up. I don't know how to fix it, whatever. This is a good cheater thing to, like, if I don't want to purl. So yeah. Okay, Patricia, you've got a round loom set, so you want to know how it works. Okay, so what you need to learn how to do is how to do a purl stitch. And that will get you this look. See this middle one here? Okay, this little middle column is what you're going to do. And I'm going to flip it around the back and I'll show you. So you would end up, if you want this look, you would have to purl 3 and then knit 1. Purl 3, knit 1. For this reverse here, you would do knit 3 or E-wrap and purl 1, knit 3, purl 1. It's got a repeat of 4. So you would need to do, it'd be 4 plus 1. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you're making a scarf, you'd want to end, I'm sorry, 4 plus 3. So you would want to do a multiple of 4 and add 3 more to finish off the 3 for the rib end. So if this is a scarf, so I have 1, 2, I'm sorry, this bag is kind of in the way, but if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, so 5 times 4, okay, would be 20. Plus I need to add 3 more to make it finish. See how nice it finishes? And this would be a good scarf, right? So, but if you do it on the round, like if you want to make it like all in a round, like say you're doing a hat or something like that, then you don't need that extra 3. You just keep going. So when it gets to the last one, which would be that pearl, it would end up connecting with those first 3 that you had. So if you ever see a pattern that says 4 plus 3 or, 3 plus 4 or whatever, and the first number is the multiples that you need. So you multiply that out times whatever to get your width. And then those extra ones are needed for flat knitting or knitting a flat panel going back and forth. Does that make sense? And then Sharon, okay, so your husband bought you the Martha Stewart loom, but you don't know how to use it. Okay, great. Okay, so I have a few videos on that. I actually do have one that you might enjoy starting off with. You can use a couple of strands of cotton and make it into a dishcloth with the sample that I show, or like a little lovey or something. And but if you use the main pattern, it's from Lion Brand, and it's a diagonal baby throw. If you'll look up diagonal baby throw, or Nikki, while you're on here, if you wouldn't mind finding the link for me, there's a video, and in the video, inside the description, if you'll open it up, I have more information. All of my videos have descriptions, so you have to take the extra time to hit that button to open it, and it will reveal links and information of like the tools you need, the yarn, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, but that was done on the Martha Stewart loom, which is by Lion Brand. And then they also have the pattern for the diagonal baby throw. And then, of course, they have the yarn they recommend to use with it, too, which I would suggest. It's really pretty. And of course, you can use any other appropriate yarn. But that will help you. And you can make a dishcloth. You can make it for a baby throw, or even like a small little, like a lovey that you put like a little stuffed animal head on, or like put a pacifier on or something like that. So let's see. What else? Round knitting loom. Yes. Okay. So the pearl stitch, Patricia. I'm sorry, I got myself sidetracked. The pearl stitch, I'm not sure if I can show you live. Would you guys be interested in doing any live trainings where I can demonstrate something for you on the spot? I'm actually going to be teaching how to knit on needles. I think it's the 23rd, August 23rd. It's the week of the 22nd, and I'll be doing a live teaching of needles on a Wednesday. Okay, good. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah. And yeah, that was something that was Lion Brand sponsored me to do that last year. And actually, I'm going to be doing a little baby sweater video from them soon too. Okay, Chelsea, you've been loom knitting but only watching YouTube videos. Like to be able to read patterns but don't know how or where to start. What's the best book to read to learn? Read on patterns. Okay, great, Chelsea. There are so many different great pattern writers out there. There's not as many loom knitting as there are for needles. There's of course several different books. I actually recently wrote a book, so of course I would like to show you my book. I would love for you to be able to get it. And then of course there's others as well, but I can only answer the questions that are in my book for copyright reasons. This book right here, I have it in ebook format. You can get it in my Ravelry store. If you don't know what that is, check that out, because that's always good to know for people who are learning how to knit. It's a free social media site for people who knit and crochet and do fabric arts or fiber arts. And then I have an Etsy store as well, or you can buy it on Amazon. You get a few bonus stuff with me when you buy it directly through my website or for Etsy or Ravelry. And then it's now in print book form, but it's called Loom Knitting Guide. Loom Knitting Guide and Patterns. And then I've got 10 patterns inside. Okay, so besides the 10 patterns I have, which is only the last, 30 pages or so, I've got about 100 pages worth of information on how to read a pattern, how to read a chart, basic stuff. So, okay, Patricia, you too. Yeah, so I was going to see about demonstrating the purl stitch to you, but just a real quick thing. Basically, if you know how to E-wrap, so I'm getting some of my yarn together to show you. Hold on. If you know how to E-wrap, you know you always start by wrapping it on the top like this. Okay, so your stitches, your new yarn is above the stitch. Okay, if you're going to purl, you have to place that yarn, your working yarn, the free yarn, below what's already on the loom. And then what you do is you use your tool and you're pulling that new yarn up through that loop, and then you pull off the old loop and put the new one on, and then kind of cinch it up a little bit, and then that makes a purl. Would you send it to Australia? Actually, Patricia, you can get in Australia. Look it up on Amazon. Let me give you all the ISBN number. If anybody wants to write it down and put it in the comments, that'd be fantastic. Because if you look up the ISBN number, you'll find it. And then Amazon has it in Australia, but I forget the Amazon link for you. But the ISBN is 978-09976-32910. And I also have a link in there. So basically, there's a lot of links. I have 100 and... How many links do I have? I know I have a ton. Sorry, pregnant pause here. 130 something. 144. I have 100. Thank you, Chelsea. I don't know if that's right, but I'll have to check later. But see all these links? They're end notes in the back of the book. Because when I originally created the book, it was a PDF. And so the solution was I ended up going back and putting like footnoting system in, and in the back are all these links. But you can't, it's like really frustrating to like type those in. So what I did is I have a master link, and then you can go to that, which takes you to my site, and then you can click on any of those. So if you need help, since you're going online anyway, you can just go to that site and be able to click on the link, and it has all the reference numbers lined up with it. So that's the bonus of that. And I have things like, let me just kind of go, I'm not here to sell the book, although I would love to. But the ebook is great, and that's easy and portable, and you can put that on your mobile device. But I have a chapter on the Loom basics, which is terms, and then making a first hat or hats, how to read patterns and charts. That's the second chapter. Tips, techniques, and more chapter, which covers ear flaps, visors, crown hats, and then I've got tutorial references for things like, changing colors or adding a ball of yarn, S looms and Afghan looms, loose ends, Kitchener stitch, different, pulling 3 strands of yarn from one ball. So say you have like a really big gauge. Hey, Carol. Good morning, Carol. So we have Carol and Nikki commenting on the Good Knit Kisses channel. See if you see that. Oh, real quick. Let me see. Lisa, do you find it hard to use a zippy loom? I'm so used to the small pegs and have a hard time with it. Maybe because of the huge pegs. Actually, this will answer your question too, Lisa. Okay, so if you need, on the zippy loom, let me get a zippy to show people who don't know what it is. I got it out just in case. So this is a zippy. This is what it looks like in the packaging. I've seen it in more and more places now. You can, of course, get it on Knitting Board. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, and I believe now Michael's. I think AC Moore has it, although I don't have an AC Moore. I believe you can get it at Joann's, and but I'm not sure if you can get it at Walmart or not. Somebody tell me if you can. If you buy the corners, you get 4 corners, and you can put it together with 4 zippies to do this. And so I've made a hat on this. Amazon, Stacy. Yes, you're right. It is on Amazon too. I gotta remember Amazon. Man, you can get a lot on there. So anyway, so I have a reference, and you can find, some of the stuff you can still find on my channel too. So, but I reference it in the book, and just to make it easier. But you can pull 3 strands of yarn from 1 ball of yarn. So instead of buying 3 balls of yarn, so say you have like a really small project, you're like, I just want to make a washcloth, but my pegs are like super big, right? And I need to get as much as I can on here, and I don't want to buy 3 balls of yarn. Anybody have that problem ever? Raise your hand. Give me a thumbs up or a love. So there is a way that you can take that ball of yarn and you start with a slip knot, and then you can pull through what you need. Now it creates a little bit of a bend in one of the strands every so often, however long you can pull that out, but really you don't see it in your finished work. So it's really, really nice. So, oh, Michael's finally got the corners in. Oh, that's good to know. Okay. So, I also do, I have a video on, Frankie Brown. Yeah, did this thing called a 10 stitch. She has lots of things. Frankie has lots of patterns that do this 10 stitch stuff. And so where she makes like a square or rectangle or even like a circle and other patterns using just 10 stitches on needles. And so they've been converted into do loom knitting. Now, not all of them, but there's a 10 stitch blanket that you can do where basically you just take 10 stitches across and then knit a certain length and make a corner and a corner and then go back up, make a corner, and then when it comes to the side part, you end up like joining it as you go, and you just keep going around and around and around until you get the blanket size you want, and it's just enormous, right? Just as wherever you want to stop. So that's also an option. So adding things as you go. You can also do seams and all kinds of stuff. So there's all kinds of things you can do, but trying to remember who it was. Sharon. Let's see, let me go back through. Who said that? Patricia said someone needed to do, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember who it was, needed to do purling. So, but once you can do purling, once you know the knit stitch and purl stitch, you can really fly. There's a lot of things that you can do. So, that's the main thing. But if anybody would be interested in a live lesson on the purl stitch or just in general looming stitches, I can do that. And like I said, I'm going to be having a live training for needle knitting, where I'm going to go through and go, we're going to cast on, we're going to do the knit stitch, the purl stitch, and bind off. And I can do the same thing for looming that week as well, or call it the next loom. Oh, the S loom. Okay, I'm going to tilt my camera and you can see one. Hang on, you can see. Do you see this white thing here? Can you see that? That loom? Okay, that loom is shaped and it has kind of an S look. Oh, good. Okay, it has kind of an S to it, and that's what we call it an S loom because of the shape. But it's an Afghan loom, and so it can make like something wider. Usually they go anywhere from like 36 to 48 to 60 inches. I don't know what that is in the metric system. I have to look it up. But basically you start at one side of the S and work your way around, and then it kind of circles, and then you go back around the S and come back and then end it before you connect it. If you connect it, you can make a big giant tube, but I guess you could do that if you wanted to. I've done that before and made an infinity scarf, like, well, the one I have buried here, but basically it just makes a big scarf, and then you would only knit like 6 inches or whatever you want, which is actually very convenient for that kind of thing. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. But I made all my kids, well, I think I'm lacking on one because I crocheted one, but 2 of my girls, I made blankets on those. And I have a striped Afghan pattern out there on my Etsy and Ravelry stores. And also on vivaloom.com. If you don't know about vivaloom.com, Knitting Board has a site, and they also sell PDF patterns. So anyway, from the blankets I made from them and some other gifts, I made the pattern up, and I have a chart on there. And just a little word about some of that, though. Several of the S looms, depending on the company, they have different numbers of pegs on their loom. So it makes it hard because they're also changing. It makes it hard to make it like current for every loom, but basically you just pick the chart that works best with your loom and then stop there. So anyway, did you guys have any other questions for me? Let's see, I've been on 30 minutes now, I think. So it's been great having you. For the people who missed it in the beginning, one of the ones that I showed, this is my chic retreat cowl. This one right here. It has an Indian cross stitch on it. This one, You hold it up and down. But for anybody who lip reads, I'm trying to keep my mouth open here, mouth available to see, to read. But anyway, see how it kind of opens up? Anyway, so this is the Chic Retreat cowl. I have a video pattern on it. And by the way, if you're looking at, now I haven't done all my patterns this way, so if you find one that doesn't, then please let me know in the comments. But if you will open up and hit the description when you're watching my YouTube video on the YouTube browser, then look for timestamps. And what I've done is I've written out what is happening in the video and then a timestamp so you can jump to that part that you need, because you might need to, thank you, Lisa, you might need to repeat a certain section, right? Or maybe you've been working out for a while, you know everything, but then you're like, oh, okay, now I'm at the end and I've got to do this chain link stitch here. Maybe I've got to do this and this one's a little hard for me. So let me go to the end when she's finishing it, you know? So anyway, so there's that. What else was I going to tell you? So I do have the pattern for this. You can purchase it, but like I said, the video is free to watch. I do have a chart on this one. And so I would suggest if you want to learn how to read patterns and charts, getting one of my patterns to go along with the Loom Along would be good, because then you're seeing how I'm doing it and you're seeing how to follow along the chart. And that's like a good key indicator that you are, that you're doing it right. Now, I write different than some other people, but reading ahead of time before you do a pattern, that's my biggest tip for you, is read the pattern ahead of time before you start attempting it. That way you know some of the curveballs that are coming up your way. Anyway, well, thank you guys for coming and on and seeing me. Make sure that you've liked the page. I'm going to continue to have these every day. We're going to do, tomorrow we'll do knitting and yarn. Thursday, crochet. Friday, we'll be doing social media tips. And that is for, like, say you have a crafting business that you want to get off the ground and start selling online, or maybe you want to start teaching your own videos and you need some help. So, I can answer those questions, and I might do some things on the weekend. But again, Mondays are going to be Meet the Crafter Day for Q&A. You can ask me your questions as long as they're appropriate. And Tuesdays is loom knitting. Be sure and check out my channel, Good Knit Kisses. So it's youtube.com/goodknitkisses, and hit subscribe. Click on that button again. Make sure you get the emails for when I start making videos again. There is going to be a mystery craft along that I'm going to be, or stitch along that I'm going to be doing, following along with on my blog in the fall. And I'll be sending out newsletters so you can join up with a newsletter online. So again, all these things are just for your advantage, to help you, to encourage and inspire you in your crafting and getting further along. So, oh, Patricia, you're not good at knitting, so you give up now, and you're good at crochet? Well, my goodness. Well, you know, some people just only crochet, and that's okay too. So it's fun. But I would love, if you ever want to pick up knitting again, I'd love to have you. I do have a series on that, beginner series. So, and then I'll be doing that live training. So if you want to join me and grab some yarn and grab some knitting needles, I can't even talk, that week of the 22nd on the Wednesday, then I'll be doing the live training. You can ask me some questions. So anyway, thanks you guys. Okay, wonderful, Patricia. I'll see you then. Y'all have a great week. Bye. See you tomorrow.